Hey guys, welcome back to Vince-VellCustoms. So today we're going to start a work in progress series of painting up my Amanda Connor Power Girl custom statue from Sideshow Collectibles. Now I did an 8-part series on how I customized her, about how I sculpted and came up with the whole idea. And right now we're ready to start painting her up. So going to kind of break down right now in the beginning of this series of how my process works, what paints I use, and kind of how I come up with some of this stuff. So what I always do first is it's always skin, but I want to make sure that my statues are always ready for paint. So I did, wash this, well, I wet sanded it. I run it under water and I wet sanded it down and I got it nice and smooth. And once I'm ready at the point where it's all nice and smooth and I'm not seeing any errors and stuff, I'm ready to start painting. But sometimes I do find errors when I'm ready to start painting with my skin tones that I got to kind of patch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a nice base coat of flesh tone on her skin, which is, her legs show skin, her boob window, and her head. So I'm going to do flesh tone on that first, and if I see any errors I need to patch, I'll show you guys in the video, because sometimes I might see a scratch that I missed, I might see a dent, or maybe I did some sculpting of muscles or something and I did the skin tone and I realized there's some little warping that I need to patch up, and I do that. I like to make sure everything's ready to go in the beginning and not have to paint it up and then all of a sudden that looks messy and then go back and do it. Now, I paint light to dark, and I know a lot of people paint dark to light. It doesn't really matter. It's all preference of how you like to paint and what you like to do. In art school, I know some teachers and professors were like, always paint dark to light, but I always studied growing up the airbrush magazines you would see at an art store or something, and they always showed how a lot of airbrush artists always painted with the yellow first, and then they would start darkening it, and they just keep going from there. And that's kind of how my whole process kind of came to that, from airbrushing on like illustration board to statues. So, with that being said, I'm pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to break down a lot of the paints and everything I like to use on skin tones first. So just to give you guys an idea, I use a lot of different brands for my whole entire statue. So skin tones, I'm going to use Garage Kit colors first, as you can see. Got a lot of these Garage Kit colors that I like to use. And then I got some other brands for like the blue, her outfit, and the white, and all that stuff. So let's break down some of this flesh tone first. Real quick though, you can see her shoulder pad I got ready for Alclad Chrome. Now it's not going to be Alclad Chrome on the shoulder pad, it's going to be pale gold, as you can see right there. So I just kind of do the whole same process, get it nice and smooth so the pale gold goes on it really good. Now, as the flesh tones, like I said, Garage Kit colors, I love these paint brands. These paints are phenomenal for flesh tones. They have your bronze, your virgin fleshes, your Africans, just a nice wide range of flesh tones. It's really great stuff, but I do use other brands with them too, so I do a lot of mixing and everything to get what I need to get done. So right here we got our flesh tone, and I'm going to do my base coat in this, because Power Girl is more of a fair flesh tone. She doesn't really have a lot of tan to her, she doesn't have really a lot of color, but she's not really like pale. So I kind of find that middle grade with the Garage Kit's flesh tone, and then we have the transparency Garage Kit flesh tone, which is kind of like, it's really good if you want to bring the color. If you do too much of heavy shading, you kind of use the transparency to tone it down instead of using the regular Garage Kit and kind of just flush it out again. So you gotta, transparencies help a lot with what I do. Here is a transparency pale flesh. This is kind of more of an orangey color, and I kind of like this when you kind of want to give it a little bit more of a, a little bit more of a kick with the flesh tone. I'll use the pale flesh a lot. They have a bright flesh, which is more red, and I kind of keep this more for like the rosy cheeks, and maybe if I'm going to do like, Vampirella, I kind of do that one with that. Then we have our transparency virgin flesh and regular virgin flesh. Normally I use this, if I want to brighten up an area, like if I'm doing the whole body, but you want to brighten up the cheeks or maybe the top of the breasts or maybe some of the, butt cheeks or the calf muscles, I might use that. This right here is a P3 flesh wash. I like this flesh wash a lot, but the problem is it's very, very potent. You can really, take your whole statue down and really lose all those different variation of colors with this flesh. You got to be careful with this one. But it's really good, like say if you know you're going to do like an Akuma statue, so you do everything in the nice flesh and then you just take this flesh wash and spray it down and you get that like tan deep look to it, which is kind of cool. And then over here we have pale flesh and bronze flesh. Now she's not really a pale type of a character, and she's not really like bronzy where she's gonna have to be more tan. I like to keep my just at least with Power Girl more of that fair flesh tone, so just kind of keeping it like that. Now as for shading, what I do is I have my burnt sienna hue from Golden, but they don't make this brand anymore. Well, they have Golden, but they don't make the opaque anymore for airbrushes. It's a high flow. It's very watery. This is kind of more of like a little bit thicker. I have a couple bottles left, and I use it for my personal stuff. But you can mix up your own. They have a regular just burnt sienna from Golden, and you can use this for, tone it down with some water, or you can use this with some of their Golden airbrush medium, and you can make up your own little darkness color. But I do mix colors in the cups as I go. We'll explain all that. And then I have my Tester's dull coat. Now, Tester's dull coat works great with the Garage Kit flesh tones. It really kind of helps melt the colors together in a way, but it's very potent stuff, so you never want to spray it in the inside. I don't even spray the Tester's dull coat in my booth in here because sometimes I do, but I make sure if it's a nice day where I can have the window open, because that fumes on that stuff is potent. But this is all acrylic colors, and it's really great paints for flesh. So that's pretty much broken down for all the flesh stuff. We'll kind of get in more involved and as time goes, but right now we're going to just get her skin tone done up and make sure there's no errors, and then we can start detailing her all up. Now, because she's such a high statue too, it's very hard to paint her up, so I will at times probably put her on the table here so I could do some detailing, but it's just one of those things. So let's get all set up and start going to work on her. Okay, so we did our old base coat, and there's a couple errors here and there, but nothing too much. So I've always shown in the past, there's this 3M foam sandpaper you can get. You can probably order it online or eBay now. And after you use it a while, it becomes really like fine. So if you have like an older piece, it's good for this type of thing. So there's a couple errors here and there. Nothing actually major where I have to actually patch. But sometimes, you get a little weird stuff that comes off the airbrush, so you can kind of take some of that down. A little bit of stuff in here. Over here is a little bit of a mistake probably from Aves. You could kind of take that down a little bit. Piece over here. One of the major things I noticed was right in here, you can't see it now, but when it was kind of wet with the paint, it was a little messed up over in here. And the reason why I like the Garage Kit's flesh tone is it's not very rubbery, so like after you paint it, it can kind of sand down pretty well. There's a little mess up here in the cleavage area. Looking around, there's a little piece here. I mean, a lot of this will come out anyway, but anything that's like really, really thick that I want to take out, I can. And looking around though, I mean, everything's looking pretty good. Also, I went and looked around the head. Head looks pretty good. Sometimes, like underneath the ear here or maybe underneath there, I'll kind of miss some stuff. But all in all, this one looks pretty good. I kind of cleaned this one up pretty well. And that's pretty much about it. Not really seeing anything major. Like, if you can kind of see on this, as I sanded this piece down, a little bit of mess up was over there. Kind of hard to get in close. But, all in all, that's pretty good. But if you ever do, at this point, you can use, I work this Tamiya basic gray putty stuff. I like this stuff pretty well because you can kind of use a rubber tool. I've done this in the past as well. I have these rubber sculpting tools, and you can use this stuff. Like, say if you have a scratch or a dent, you can kind of just go, and fill in the dent, let it dry a little bit. This stuff takes, doesn't take that long to dry. It's not something that takes a few hours. It goes, within a couple minutes. and you can kind of sand it down. You can fill in a little bit of an area. But all in all, this one came out pretty good. That's probably because I didn't have to do a lot of like custom work on the legs and chopping up stuff. It was more just around in there. So yeah, we're pretty much ready to go. So I'll get this set up for the next phase. Okay, ready to start painting her up now. And before I do, just to give you a quick update, in my fast videos and however this series goes on, you may see me actually like take the airbrush down and then like throw it out. Usually what I do is I use my airbrush cleaner, I fill it in, mush it around, and pour it out that way. Instead of sitting there and spraying it through here till all the water goes away and all liquid, I'll squeeze it out in the cup and I'll get rid of it that way. I'll also use a paper towel and I'll do something like this. And if I get some really caked up stuff in there, I have a fan brush that I'll go in here and I'll fan it, and I'll just get some pieces out of there just in case. You never know. So if you ever see me doing that stuff through the series, that's what I'm doing. I don't have a specific formula on how I paint. Like, you know, I know a lot of guys will be like, well, I use this color red, I use this color flesh, I use this and this and this, and I do it in this process, and they're done. I kind of just keep blending and blending and blending. This is one of my art professors in art school just kind of gave me this tip, and I really followed it since, just to keep blending, keep working the item until you get it to where you want it. So what I'll be doing is I'll be saying what I do, and then we'll go on to like the fast video and stuff. But what I'm going to probably do is I'll put my Garage Kit color flesh in here. Sometimes it gets a little caked up at the top, so then I'll put my Garage Kit flesh in there, a couple drops, and then what I'll do is I'll take my burnt sienna hue and I'll put a couple drops, and I'll just mix it like this, just kind of do that until I get the color I want, and I blend out. So that's why you can see there's a lot of paint all over here because I just spray. So we're going to start off with using some Garage Kit flesh, and we're going to use some burnt sienna hue in it, and I'm just going to pretty much get some shadowing going. Nothing serious because it's all going to get blended down, but it's going to look messy in the beginning, and then as time goes on it'll start forming. So I just got to make sure all my paints are set up, and we'll start painting. Okay, so I did my shadowing on here. May look pretty rough. Some areas a little heavier than others, but what I like to do at this point is get my semi-transparency Garage Kit flesh tone. Kick on the air, and I kind of just tone this down a little bit. Just kind of let gravity do its work on it. Probably best to put her up there as well. So it pretty much just tones it down. Get a little bit over here for you. So just tone some of it down, starting to get some detailing. The darkness kind of starts helping me where I'm going to lay some more colors. Like I say, the tester's dull coat will help, melt it into place a little bit later. Kind of show you what that happens with that stuff. But yeah, we're just getting there. So the next step is I'll probably do the transparency pale flesh, which is this one right here, transparency pale flesh. And I'll probably just do some like certain areas. That's kind of like more of an orangey transparency, and it'll kind of just give it a little bit more color. I also may hit some areas with this flesh wash from P3, but the only problem is, like I say, this stuff right here is very potent. So that stuff you want to keep more into your shadow areas, and you don't want to hit anything up in here because it'll just dull that stuff down real quick. So let's get hitting it with those. Alright, so we got those steps down, and now we're looking pretty good. We're starting to get some more detailing in her. We're starting to get some colors, with the muscles, and it's just starting to come together a little bit. Of course, we're still messy. I'm going to go back in with the semi-transparency Garage Kit Flesh, and I'm going to kind of tone it down a little bit more, hit some more areas, and just kind of keep building her and going with it, because as you can see, like this knee over here is a little bit too dark at the moment, so I'm going to have to kind of work on that a little bit more. Of course, the face needs some more detailing, and I got to get in closer to do that, and as well as the breasts. It's hard to see from here, but it's looking very dark in some areas, so I got to kind of lighten up that a little bit as well. But yeah, it's just going to keep working on it and blending. Once we start getting more of this blending going, we'll hit it maybe with some of the virgin flesh on some areas to brighten it up, and then we'll go in, we'll dull coat it, and then we'll just keep building.